Coleman Hughes is back with another banger, ladies and gentlemen. I always love his reporting. He's one of my favorite reporters out there. He's great from the Free Press. I'm totally traveling Clyde, your sweet Zionist prince, whose land was promised him 3,000 years ago. And I am going to react to this clip right here. Let's take a look at this clip from Coleman Hughes.
The legendary singer and actress Barbra Streisand once sued a photographer for putting a picture of her cliffside mansion on an obscure website, arguing that it threatened her privacy. Her actions backfired spectacularly. Before the lawsuit, only 6 people had downloaded the photo, but after the lawsuit, hundreds of thousands of people had seen it. The Streisand effect has since become a generic term for when an attempt at censorship achieves the opposite of its goal. If I were writing a glossary entry on the Streisand effect, I wouldn't put a picture of her next to it. I would put a picture of Nick Fuentes. Fuentes launched his career as a college freshman in 2017 with a barely watched show called America First. In Fuentes' telling, he was a mainstream Republican in high school. Then Donald Trump's rise radicalized him against immigration, and the experience of being ostracized by fellow Republicans for questioning Israel radicalized him against Jews as a whole. Whatever the truth of this origin story, it didn't take much for Fuentes to transform himself from a mainstream conservative into a lover of dictators, including communist ones, an across-the-board bigot, and a textbook anti-Semite.
I remember because that's an important date to me, and it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer.
As he became more extreme, Fuentes began to experience what would become one of the most complete cancellations ever consummated in American culture. In his freshman year, he got harassed for wearing a MAGA hat on campus. After participating in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, his network dropped his show, and a deluge of death threats prompted him to drop out of Boston University. By early 2020, he had been banned from Twitch, Reddit, and YouTube. After he appeared at the January 6, 2021 riot, and there was no evidence that he actually entered the Capitol, Fuentes was banned from streaming on DLive, and his bank account was temporarily frozen by the Department of Justice as part of what it said was an investigation, though charges were never brought and his accounts were unfrozen months later. By the end of 2021, he had been placed on the TSA no-fly list, which is generally reserved for terrorists, as well as banned from Twitter, PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Shopify, Stripe, Coinbase, and even Airbnb. Now, as a classical liberal, it's not hard for me to hold 2 thoughts in my head at once. The first is that Nick Fuentes is an American citizen with the right to free speech and should not be targeted by the authorities for his views. And while social media and payment platforms are well within their rights to drop him if he violates their terms of service, it seems to me that the ham-fisted attempt to erase him from public life only drew more attention to his ideas in the long run, just as the Streisand effect would predict. However, the second thought is just as crucial. Just because he got viciously canceled doesn't mean that people should listen to what he has to say now. Nick Fuentes is a force for evil in American politics. He hates minorities, he hates women, and most important of all, he hates the version of America envisioned by the Founding Fathers and actually wants to replace it with a religious dictatorship. If conservatives are actually trying to conserve what is good in the American political tradition and prevent radical changes in direction, then they should recoil against Fuentes-ism with every atom in their bodies. The words racist and misogynist have been abused to the point of meaninglessness in American discourse over the past decade. Social media activists have cried wolf so many times that very few people now bother to listen. But the point of the boy who cried wolf parable is that eventually the wolf arrives, and when it does, nobody is as alarmed as they should be. Like Aesop's wolf, Nick Fuentes has indeed arrived, and just as in the fable, mainstream conservatives do not seem appropriately alarmed, as demonstrated by his recent friendly appearances on Tucker Carlson's show, as well as other popular podcasts like Dave Smith's Part of the Problem, the Red Scare podcast, and the PBD podcast. How has Fuentes achieved this remarkable infiltration into the culture? Well, it's all been made possible by the fact that he's successfully playing a double game, and the people giving him friendly interviews are enabling this. There's not one Nick Fuentes, there's 2. There's the unfiltered Fuentes who rants directly to his followers on Rumble and can barely go 5 minutes without saying something heinous about Jews, blacks, Hispanics, or women.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
This version of Nick Fuentes verbally abuses his followers in the way that an insult comic might do, and they love it. He doesn't act particularly religious, and he certainly isn't preachy. He's laughing and smiling the whole time, and his followers basically feel like they're hanging out with a crass but hilarious buddy, listening to him take the piss out of everybody, including them. Then there is the comparatively sane character that Nick Fuentes plays on the podcast circuit. This version of Nick Fuentes is a serious Catholic. He's clearly read lots of books. He's earnest. He doesn't joke or curse very much. His vision of the country has much more to do with preserving what he describes as a white suburban American way of life, think Little League baseball and hot dogs on the 4th of July, than with a hostile theocratic takeover of the federal government.
There is legitimate need to reassure people, and this is kind of what I've been doing on these podcasts, that we don't want to harm anybody. We don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to harm anybody. Right. We just want to put America first.
All of this brings up a few questions about Fuentes' sincerity. First, if his main fear is that the next generation of Americans won't be white enough, then why does he tell his followers that modern women are too annoying to bother with, and that married men are cucks?
Fuck you, pussy whip bitch. Yeah, all these people posting this like wife and husband content. It's so funny when my wife tells me to do stuff. I'm such a pussy. Ugh. Imagine such a pathetic existence.
Shouldn't he be encouraging his followers to get along with women, marry, be fruitful, and multiply? The immigrants he's so worried about will certainly be doing just that. And more importantly, why do Rumble Nick and Podcast Nick seem to be two totally different people? While it's normal to come across a bit differently in different contexts, the two versions of Nick Fuentes seem to have different beliefs altogether. Podcast Nick, for example, insists that he's a patriotic American who just wants to put our country first. But Rumble Nick believes that America is an evil country, that, quote, Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church, that we must replace American democracy with a dictatorship and ultimately enforce what he calls Catholic Taliban rule in America.
That's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe, or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society.
Podcast Nick will tell you that he's celibate because, like a good Catholic, he is waiting until marriage. But Rumble Nick will make it crystal clear that his celibacy has nothing to do with religion and everything to do with the fact that he finds women to be, quote, fucking annoying.
Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like, they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like, you're fat, you're chubby, you're not as hot as you think you are. You fucking talk too much, you're a bitch.
Podcast Nick will argue that Christians cannot sanction racism and will approvingly cite Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. Rumble Nick will viciously mock liberal Christians for citing this exact same Bible quote and explain that he would rather Christians didn't read the Bible at all than use that specific passage against him.
This is where we get like liberals saying, but the Bible says neither Jew nor Greek, but the Bible says, this is where you get liberals using it against us.
Podcast Nick will roll his eyes at the accusation that he's a Nazi. Like the character Mark Ravenhead from Succession, he'll make you seem ridiculous for even asking the question. But Rumble Nick thinks that Hitler was, quote, really fucking cool. He believes that probably only 200,000 or 300,000 Jews were killed by the Nazis, definitely not 6 million. And just last week he said, and not for the first time, that he finds the notion of Nazi gas chambers hard to believe.
People talk about, well, what about the gas chambers? Well, to the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real, there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all times and all places. Let's acknowledge why Hitler casts the long shadow, because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why.
Rumblenik also argues that the Jews, quote, are responsible for every war in the world. It's not even debatable at this point, which could literally be an entry in Joseph Goebbels' diary. Podcast Nick frames his opposition to interracial marriage mainly as a personal preference that wouldn't affect anyone else. Rumblenik believes that the Jim Crow...
Okay, I've seen enough. There's another almost 10 minutes of this video by Coleman Hughes, and it's a great video, and I suggest you guys watch the whole thing because it is very good. But I want to chime in, and again, not to take away from Coleman, but it's a great video. Here's my 2 cents. Nick Fuentes is a retarded gay Mexican. He is not America first. He is not white. He's barely a Christian. He really is. Okay? And how do I know that? Most Christians will confirm that he's probably not even really a real Christian. This is a person that for one reason or another has infiltrated your movement and is now dissuading people from having sex, from having kids, from being in relationships, from continuing the American legacy the way that we know it, the way that we see it. And here's the reality with somebody like Nick Fuentes. I said this in the last video I did about Candace Cuntons Owens. He needs to be mounted and he needs to be brought to a point of submission. Now, that doesn't mean in a physical sense. Like, I don't think a fight with Nick Fuentes is going to bring anything, like a physical fight. Same way that if somebody were to fight me, it's not going to bring anything. I'm not a fighter. Nick Fuentes isn't a fighter. You know, I'm a doughy YouTuber, and he's a fucking skinny-ass gay Mexican. There's nothing exciting about the idea of people like us fighting physically. But what you need to do is you need to mount this person and you need to bring them to a point of submission and you need to get their audience to come over to you. This video by Coleman Hughes is great, but it's not, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. You could argue with me and say that I'm not right, but I think there's a track record to prove that we keep trying to do this Hasbara thing. And yeah, like what Coleman is doing here is technically Hasbara. It's not for the state of Israel, but he's explaining who Nick Fuentes is, and he's trying to take him down with facts and with logic. It's not going to work. It is not going to work, especially when somebody like Patrick Bet-David is going to bring him on the show. Tim Pool is going to bring him on the show. They are going to platform him. One way or another, they're going to platform him. That's happening, Coleman, with or without you, without the free press covering it. That is going to happen. He's going to be platformed. Why? Because he makes money. You guys forget the one key point. Yes, I am in my underwear. Okay, I record all these videos in my boxers. Fuck it. I'm building a studio right now, so give me some slack. You guys forget, okay, that money is what makes this whole industry go round. Why is Candace Owens continuously pressing on the Charlie Kirk story? Because it makes her a fuck ton of money. If it wasn't, she wouldn't do it. That's the reality. If it didn't make her a fuck ton of money, she wouldn't press on while doing it. She would have done 1-2 episodes for the fun of it, and she would have fucked off to something else. But because it's churning her out millions of dollars, of course she's going to keep doing it. Same thing with Nick Fuentes, or with the people platforming Nick Fuentes. Because he was banned for so long, and because he was labeled for so long, this or that, and he is that, but because he was canceled, you created a beast. Cancellation doesn't work. Canceling people doesn't work. You have to mount them and destroy them. You have to bring them to a point of submission. You have to bring them to the point where they're raising the white flag and they're saying, all right, halas, habibi, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to fight you anymore. I'm scared. I don't want this anymore. You have to play dirty. You have to be rough. You have to be mean. You have to bring up dirty shit about them. Like, that's the only way to fight this. That is the only way to fight. And I don't know why it's not so abundantly clear to everybody. I myself am working on it. I'm trying to. These things cost a lot of money, to be fair, to do this kind of work. And it's even I would say hundreds of thousands of dollars doesn't cover what you need to get in the ring with a Candace Owens, with a Tucker Carlson, with a Nick Fuentes, because these people have millions behind them, backing them. So I'm working on it, but I'm just one guy. We need an army of people doing this. You know, we need genuinely an army of people who are willing to go out to bat in the ring against these people. And I really do believe that Nick Fuentes is the exact character who needs to be mounted by somebody superior, who needs to be made fun of, who needs to be brought to a point of submission, who needs to have his audience not canceled away from him, but taken away from him. The audience needs to be convinced that the other person fighting him, or the people fighting him, the side fighting him, is so much better than Nick Fuentes that they come over to their side. Because what is a Nick Fuentes audience member? It's just somebody who's angry and sad. They want to be heard. They want to be listened to. Is there a better way to deliver that message? There's an infinite amount of better ways to deliver that message than the way that Nick Fuentes does it. And if you make fun of him, it's exactly what Coleman said in the video. Don't get it twisted. 99% of the people who listen to him, they listen to him because it's fun. Not because they even agree with him. They start agreeing with him after a certain period of time, but mostly it's because he's fun. You enjoy listening to somebody like that. He's crass, he yells, he curses, he does everything. That's why, by the way, a big part of why I have success is because I yell and I curse and I don't give a fuck because you can't cancel me. I mean, the platforms might cancel me one day. I don't think they can because of color politics. I take advantage of that 100%. You can't cancel me. I got no sponsors. I've got no funding. I've got no donors. I got nothing. It's just you guys watching. So it makes you feel like you can't lose anything. But I really believe it's only somebody like me or somebody akin to me. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not the one who needs to do this. I'll do it, but I'm not the one who needs to. Somebody like me who has nothing to lose that is able to come onto his side, mount him, and throw. And this is all like not physically. I'm not saying we should fight. I'm saying in a theoretical punch down. Keep punching down. Keep making fun of. Keep digging dirt. Be nasty. Be rude. Curse. Demean. And get the other side convinced that Nick Fuentes is a gay Mexican. It may be even a retarded gay Mexican. Maybe an autistic gay Mexican. But what he is not white. He's not Christian. Doesn't stand for America first. So I believe that's the way to fight this. I do appreciate Coleman Hughes coming in and explaining. I do appreciate the people who do the deep dives. But I just think this Hasbara style of stuff, it's not going to work against these people. These people have a fucked up, disgusting ideology. And we need to fight it with fire. I'll see you in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, Klats. Man, these comment sections are insane. What do you mean? Literally every comment is just like making fun of Jewish people, saying some stupid shit like it was promised to them 3,000 years ago, kicked out of 109 countries, white colonizers, and then a bunch of Jews in the comment section getting triggered and calling it anti-Semitism. It's bringing me down. Okay, well here, take this. What's this? It's a white colonizer shirt from thetravelingclat.com. And here, take a matching hat. Why do you want me to wear this? Because when we laugh in their faces, it triggers them more. Like for example, my grandparents were kicked out of Baghdad, Iraq. Right. So guess what? I'm yo Baghdaddy. Get it? And boom, here's a hat with a kube on it. So you're saying when they make fun of us, just wear it? Precisely. What will trigger the stupid pro-pallies more than you proudly joining the 109 club for being kicked out of 109 countries? Or are you openly embracing being a white colonizer? Or even just acknowledging that everything was promised to you 3,000 years ago? Don't run from it. Embrace it. Bet. TheTravelingClat.com. Embrace the meme, embrace the Jew hatred, and laugh in their face. TheTravelingClat.com. If you don't want to buy any merchandise, the best way to support me is by donating on Buy Me a Coffee, my PayPal, or becoming a member on my Patreon. Your support is very much needed and very much appreciated. Thank you.